So, welcome to SAP Ariba Procurement, an introduction basically to procurement. My name's Nancy Morin and I'll be teaching today. So after this, you should be able to discuss the SAP Ariba Procurement solution and identify some of those features that go along with SAP Ariba. This slide shows all 7 processes of procurement. Okay, so on the process side, you have catalogs and contract-based requisitions. And within that, you can do the activities which are catalog-based requisitions. So you go out and you shop from a catalog. Contract-based requisitions, where you create contracts in contract compliance and allow you to buy, and it attaches the contract to the requisition. We have spot buy, which is basically allows you to purchase from a public marketplace, and it makes use of the P card. Then you have invoice against the contract, so you can create a contract compliance document or a contract so it can be invoiced against it directly. There's collaborative requisitioning, which allows you to go out to your suppliers and get pricing and different items. Non-catalog requisition is a requisition that does not, where you did not pick from a catalog. It's more of an ad hoc requisition for items that you don't necessarily have a catalog for. Service POs are pretty straightforward. It's a PO that uses service functionality. You can create a service entry sheet that's routed for approval before payment. The non-invoice without a contract or PO, we call that non-PO invoicing, but basically it's an invoice with no document within SAP Ariba to reference. And finally, we have direct materials document automation, where you can bring in the item or the material master from your ERP, and the ERP generated PO, invoice, etc. is done as well. The full SAP portfolio includes supplier management, strategic sourcing, supply chain procurement, and financial supply chain on the buyer side. The suppliers will do the selling and then the fulfillment. What gets them to meet is the Ariba network in the center. When you're working with SAP Ariba Procurement, you can set it up in different ways. So beginning to end, from contract to pay, is SAP Ariba Buying Advanced Edition. So you get everything. You can also do just do in SAP Ariba Buying your contract to receiving, and then do your either, you can put the receiving in the ERP as well, so it can go either, and do your invoicing in your ERP. We also let you leverage just the catalog, so you can do the requisition in SAP Ariba and have the purchase order through invoicing, your approvals, your purchase order, all the way through paying in your ERP. Or you can do it vice versa, where your ERP does all the purchasing activity and you have Ariba do the invoice management activity. Okay, depending on how you would like to set up your system is dependent on which you choose. I mentioned the Ariba network, and basically this is the backbone of SAP Ariba. Okay, so from buyer side, the buyers log into buyer.ariba.com, and from the supplier side, it's supplier.ariba.com. And the information is shared from one side to the other, back and forth, via the Ariba network. So the buyers have their own system and the sellers have their own. The solution has an intuitive interface Really, it's very much like shopping online. Very simple to use. It has flexible business rules. So you can apply your business rules to the system. Enterprise integration, of course, built-in reporting. And then it also allows for custom fields. So you can have different custom fields as well as create custom forms within the system. So here's our intuitive interface. Okay. You have here your different tabs. This is the catalog. This is where you go shopping. And as you can see, it's very simple. I can search and so on. So my flexible approval rules, I have different approval documents. When we're talking in procurement, mostly we're usually talking about requisitions, but you also have approval flows on those user profiles, the receipts, any of your custom e-forms, catalog data updates, and then if you do approvals on invoicing, it has its separate flow. And the approval flow creates the graph and decides who approves, when they approve, and why they are required. And each document has its own set of rules applied to it. This slide basically is a really good slide for you to look at to see the way the documents flow back and forth. Okay, so for example, your ERP is the source of truth for all the master data. And the supplier sends the catalogs from the Ariba network, right? This is your SAP Ariba procurement in the middle. So you're sending out purchase orders. You might even send a copy of your purchase order to the ERP, but the arrows indicate that there can be a back and forth. So you can even send a copy of the receipt out to the supplier on the Ariba network so they know you've received the items. The receipt can go back and forth between procurement and the ERP system. So there's conversations between the different systems. So this is what a simple report looks like. Okay, so you have different reporting, and this is a sample of your order summary by commodity, and you can see the different data points, and you have different reporting in the system. The system also features those customizable fields and forms. So you have you can customize your own form using existing fields, add those in, or you can have custom fields that you need to use. So you might have some fields that you would like specific to your business. The users in SAP Ariba Procurement Solution are preparers. They're the people who create the requisitions. They go in and basically do the data entry. They can purchase for themselves or other users. When they purchase for someone else, the other person becomes the requester. So if I purchase for myself, I'm the preparer and the requester. If I purchase for Jane Doe, I'm the preparer and Jane Doe becomes the requester. And then approvals are based on Jane Doe's approval flow. There are approvers. These are people who go in and approve items. You can do it through the user interface, email, or on the mobile application. Excuse me while I get a sip of water. Procurement agents. These are people who know a little more about procurement. They're the ones who approve and finalize any non-catalog items. They'll perform the collaborative requisitioning to enforce the rules, to make sure that, they talk to the suppliers, they go back and forth. So these are the people who know a little more about the system. And then finally, the Fewest amount of people you will have in the system are the administrators. They're the ones who load data, maintain approval rules, and they do the basic technical support in the background. Okay, so these are people who might help check to the catalogs loaded properly or load any other data that's required. Check scheduled runs, things like that. So let's take a look at catalogs. Okay. So after this, you'll be able to understand your basic catalog search, describe item qualifications, and most of all, understand what our punch-out catalog is and the difference between the catalogs. So when I go into the catalog, here's my search. Okay, I can search for all items within this catalog based on different keywords, the description, anything along those lines. I can do a search from here. The system allows for stemming, so if I type battery, I get results not only for battery, but also batteries. It does partial word, okay? So if I type poly, I get polyethylene, which I did not know how to spell before I put it in here. So it's a good thing that you can do that. Then you have Booleans. This allows you to search for items, either paper or plastic, for example. So you can do an or term, or you can exclude words. So by using the dash, you can say minus this. It is a space, then a dash, and no space. So if I want a cable that's not a USB, I would look for cable, space, dash, USB, and it would search it that way. So it would search for cable, but not USB. It also does fuzzy spelling, for example, monitor to monitors. When I do my search, let me just get this out of the way. So when I do my search, I can refine my search results. This box will actually appear on the left-hand side. It gives me a feel of what I searched for. I can also search within there by using the search here. So I search within the results. It gives me a number of different items. It shows me, I can it narrows the search, and it basically offers guidance. It gives me a sense of what's in the catalog and what I looked for. You can also sort your search. Okay, so relevance, how closely does it match the results? And then you can do price, ascending and descending, best selling, and then name ascending and descending. So each user, when you're searching, can do these things and narrow it down. I can also favorite items. So if I shop a lot for, say, paper, I shop for paper once a month. I shop for different kinds of paper, maybe. I can favorite the paper I like and put it up in my favorites and shop for that. Favorite items are searchable, so I could search for them within the favorites. I can manage, I can put them into folders, I can do all kinds of things. As a catalog manager, I can save a public favorite. So maybe we create some favorites for our executive assistants so they can find the things that they order frequently easily by going into the favorites and finding a folder with those items. So let's take a look at the system. So we have been having some issues, so I am already logged in. Okay. And I can go to my catalog. And here's my catalogs. I can search within my catalogs for, say, a cable, and it would find all the cables within the system. On the left-hand side, I could search within that for, say, USB, and only get cables that have USB. Okay, so my search quantity went down. It tells me how many were found. I could go by category, by price, keyword, anything like that. And across here, of course, it tells me where I'm at. So I went from catalog home, I searched cable, and then I searched USB. So it tells me what I've done. I can search shop by supplier down here and say choose, oops, come on. My mouse just didn't want to cooperate. Choose JCN Technologies, and I will only see items from JCN Technologies. I can even search here and do USB, and it will refine it within JCN Technologies. So if I go certain ways I go in, even this search would refine within that area. I could look for, say, adapter and find 60. I can always go back to the catalog home, and maybe I want to look for anything in the Ariba education test supplier or JCN. So I could do Ariba or JCN. I could do Ariba education or JCN. And I can see if that changes my results at any point. Again, I'll go back home. And let's go take a look and look for some batteries. So when I search for batteries, I'll find battery or batteries. Okay. And here's a battery. Maybe I want to add this to my favorites. So I click Add to Favorites. And I can choose a default folder or an existing folder, or I could look at all the folders. Okay. So this particular folder was favorited by student 230, and they made it public. So they shared it with everyone. I can add a new folder. Okay, so I've got it in my default folders. So my system is a little jumpy today, so I apologize. We'll go into manage my favorites. So I can manage my favorites, right? And I can add a new folder. There it goes. And put in batteries and click OK. And I'll have that folder. I could then add an item look for watch. I think it just doesn't like that particular item. So we'll add this to my favorites. I'll add it, click add to favorites, and I can put it in my batteries folder. And when I go back up here, this is my favorites icon, and I go to manage, I'll have my batteries there. Okay. Since I am a catalog manager, I can make this public. I can even decide who to give it to. If I choose to edit folders, so maybe I'll edit this one, I could make this no longer public. Click OK. And later when I come back, that will be gone. So when I go to manage folders, that one's gone because student 230 created it, so therefore it's in their favorites. So you can delete anything, modify, and as a catalog manager, which I am, I can make those items public. Excuse me. Okay, so just waiting for the system to catch up to me. The system's a little slow today. We are having some technical issues, and I'm having some technical issues on my computer as well. Okay, so I'm back here. Let's go to Catalog Home. And let's search for a cable minus CAT. So this is that booleans I talked about. And now I've got 966 items of a cable minus CAT. I could do also minus wire and search again. And my number of items went down. Okay, so you can make all kinds of changes there. There are also things called parametric items or partial items that you can create within the system. So I'm going back to Catalog Home again. And I'll type in, say, shirt. When I get this shirt, I could look for polo shirts and choose just from polo shirts. But when I go to put the shirt in and I hit add to cart, it's going to require me to put in a color and a size. Okay. And you can see on the side, I also was able to search for the color of the shirt. Okay. So I could look for just that, any shirt that's in red. This is parametric searching based on those partial items that you create. Let's now talk about punch-out catalogs. So when I was searching, for the most part, what I'm finding is items that were loaded into my SAP Ariba. These are catalog items loaded in. They're searchable based on internally. They could be internal catalogs. They could be catalogs that you got from the supplier via CXML or what we call a CIF catalog. and I can easily search those. But punch-out catalogs are also available. These allow you to go directly to the supplier's website and then search for the items there. Okay, so you go into the punch-out session, you add the items to the shopping cart on the supplier's website. Okay, and then the punch-out items behave the same way as the catalog items. When they come back in, you pull them back into Ariba. And then you may not be able to change the quantity without going back to the punch out site. And you must also return to delete some of the items. Suppliers, though, can have one link that brings you directly to their supplier site for a punch out catalog, or they could have links to items or categories within that punch out site as well available. And those would be, any of the links would be searchable. So you're in SAP Ariba Procurement, you go out to the Ariba network, you go to through the Ariba network to the supplier website, go shopping, and then all the items come back into SAP Ariba Procurement. Now let's talk about the spot buy capability. I will demo the punch outs, but let's talk about spot buy a little. So spot buy allows you or users within your company to search for items on the public marketplace. Okay. So if an item's not available in your company catalog, they can go out and go to Ariba network suppliers that have been enabled in spot buy. First, as a user, I would see anything that's on a company-enabled catalog first, and then I would see the spot buy items on a separate tab. You can restrict spot buy purchases. You can allow additional approval as well. All items are returned, and basically spot buy uses the P card for those items. Okay, so I go out, I go shopping, I find an item out on the marketplace that's not within our catalog. I bring it back, and when it's purchased, it goes to the P card. So here's a sample page, right? So there was 0 items in the company catalog, but here I have items on the spot buy catalog that I can purchase. So it's very helpful for those easy, marketable items. You might have remote sales locations that have different types of printers, so they could search for the toner cartridge that fits their printer. Instead of having to have those all available in your catalog or have people expense it, they can go and they can still buy within Ariba for those particular cartridges, and you can see the purchases within the system. So let's take a look at the punch-out catalog. So I'll go back in, go back home, and I'm going to look for Software House International. Okay. So this is my punch-out catalog. I know it's a punch-out catalog because it has this little symbol, which looks like a piece of paper with an arrow pointing out. And it also has a link that says Buy from Supplier. When I click Buy from Supplier, it brings me out to the supplier's website. Okay. And it's Welcome to She. And I can search for any item that I'm looking for. So let's say we need something, an apple in cables. right? We're always losing those cables, so they often have to be replaced. So maybe I need a lightning cable. I would click Add to Cart. It would put it in my shopping cart. And then when I check out, it will bring me back, I hit Finish again, into Ariba. Of course, each supplier's website would look a little bit different because they maintain it. Now, I mentioned that they could have multiple links to items. Here's the multiple links. So this is Software House International. This is also from Software House International, as is the blue mouse pad. But these links, when I click Direct Buy from Supplier, bring me directly to the item or category in the catalog. So there are additional links that can be added so that users could find those items using a search here in Ariba. Instead of just on the supplier website. But you might have noted you do have to keep those maintained. If the item is no longer available or the price changes, if you have a price associated with it, you'll see a difference. I could again from here add it to my cart and return to Ariba. And the items are in my cart. So, any questions at this point? Just going to blow this up. See if anyone has any questions. Okay, it doesn't look like it. I don't see anyone typing. So you would type your question in the student chat. But if you did miss a session, playbacks are available. Okay, it can also be handy because there may be older sessions given by someone else or different sessions. You want to see the questions that may have come up. You can look at the playback sessions from other instances. Live sessions are added each month, and we do put up additional topics on video that aren't necessarily in the live session. So we're consistently updating the website, bringing in new information, including information on new releases and changes. So I want to thank you for attending. There is a survey I'd like you to fill out. It's very short. And the link is available down here under survey links, so on the bottom left. I am doing another session at 3 p.m. today that will walk you through requisitioning to approving. Okay, so it'll walk you through that process. We do have other sessions scheduled for this week. Sessions are scheduled 12 p.m. and 3 p.m.